explosion of pure, raw derby passion. This is the North London derby. Tottenham and Arsenal, they don't like each other very much, but that's all part of the charm of this fixture. Stay with us on EA TV. Always a terrific venue to watch a football match. I'm talking about the Emirates Stadium here in North London. I'm Derek Ray, and sitting alongside me, ready to provide you with all the tactical talk, is Sue Smith. And it's all about action from the Premier League.
Hello, welcome back to Armchair Armory. And apologies that it has been a while since I was last facing you. Obviously, there's been an international break that's just finished. England qualified for the World Cup with no losses in their qualification. I think I mentioned before in the last international break that I don't really watch I used to when I was a kid. And when I was a kid and when I was a teenager, I used to watch the qualifiers and the friendlies, but I don't really do it now because I just think it's the latter part of it. I watched the Scotland Greece game the other night, and that was a really good game. So there are some games that come out that aren't very predictable, and congratulations to Scotland for qualifying for the World Cup now. I think they've made automatic qualification as well, so that's the first time they've qualified for the World Cup since 1998. I think the Republic of Ireland made the playoffs as well. Northern Ireland missed out, unfortunately, and I think Wales qualified as well. So there will be some. I know the Republic don't like people from my part of the world saying this, but there will be some representation of the British Isles at this season's World Cup, which is good. But yeah, I didn't really watch much of the. I did watch the Serbia game, and Eberechi Eze looked really good in that game, to be fair. So yeah, but I didn't watch the Albania game. I was traveling back from family. So by the time I got back, I went to do a few errands in the town, and then I was incredibly tired. So I didn't really have the energy to sit there and watch the game. But anyway, we're back to Arsenal. And it has been quite eventful in the last 48 hours. I'm recording this, about, I'd say, 24 to 28 hours after we got the news that Gabriel is going to be out for 2 months maximum, a month minimum, with a thigh injury, from what it seems, adding to the long list of injuries that we've had so far this season. I think so far we've had 6 or 7, if my memory serves me correctly. And lo and behold, the next fixture coming up in the Premier League is obviously them lot down the road, Tottenham Hotspur at the Emirates on Sunday. Now, I didn't watch the whole game, but I watched the highlights of when we played them over in Singapore it was Hong Kong, wasn't it? During pre-season, and I saw a Spurs side that were very different. Though they were always going to be, with Thomas Frank taking over from Ange Postecoglou, they were always going to be a different team. They were always going to be a different proposition to what they are now. And I thought from watching that game against us in pre-season that they seemed to be a little bit more defensively sound. Whereas with Ange, it was like it was all out attack. It was just the high line, get up the pitch as quickly as possible, try and score a goal, try and outscore the other team, was essentially what he almost took football to its logical conclusion. It also explains why he didn't last very long at Nottingham Forest as well. But with Thomas Frank, I could see something where Spurs were happy to sort of score a goal and sit back, kind of like what they did. I know Ange was their manager then, but kind of like what they did in the Europa League final. They weren't as gung-ho as they normally are, and they did what they had to do to win the game. Now, the caveat to that is it was pre-season, so it doesn't really mean anything. I remember when we did lose that game, and when we lost to Villarreal in pre-season, I remember people losing their shit and behaving like the season's going to be over. And you look at where we are now, and it's sort of like that's all forgotten and forgiven. But it is. So yeah, that was that. They beat us in pre-season. Whoop-de-doo. It doesn't really matter. However, the reason why I'm going into this game with slight trepidation, and again, it sounds like I'm being a broken record and saying, "Oh yeah, it's another game I'm nervous about," etc., etc., is because of the amount of the very small matter of the injury crisis that we've got at the moment. There are rumours that Ødegaard could be back, and there are rumours that I should correct that. There were rumours that Ødegaard could be back, but it looks like all those players, so Havertz, Madueke, Ødegaard, Gyökeres, and there was one more, Martinelli, look like they're now not going to be available until early December. So we're probably looking at after the Chelsea game. We're probably the 3 biggest games so far this side of Christmas coming up. The Bayern Munich game, though, I say that the Bayern Munich game isn't something I'm necessarily thinking, well, we have to win that game, because we won every Champions League game so far and we're in a really good position to qualify for the round of 16 automatically. So if we did drop points to Bayern, it wouldn't necessarily be the end of the world, I don't think. I'd like to get revenge after they beat us in 2 seasons ago in the quarterfinal. Was it quarterfinal or round of 16? Anyway, it doesn't matter. I think it was quarterfinal. So I'm not too, but the game on Sunday against Spurs and then Chelsea next Sunday is sort of like massive. You know, if we drop points in one of these 2 games or both of these games, then it's going to be a tall order to try and get back into the position that we've in. I think that we're in at the moment. I think I said this after the Sunderland game, you know, and the fact that we drew that game as well is another reason why we can't really afford to drop many more points. I said after the Sunderland game that we've done very well to get into a position where we're 4 points clear of Manchester City at the top of the table, because it's not a position I imagined we'd be in at this stage of the season. I still don't think we're going to win the league. I think that, especially now with these injuries, I think it will just be far too late. And there's no guarantee that somebody... I mean, I even heard a rumour that like Timber's injured as well. Or Timber's potentially a doubt for Sunday. On the positive side with Spurs, though, and I've watched quite a lot of Spurs this season, is they've been very inconsistent. Now, in their first couple of games under Thomas Frank, they looked like they were, I wouldn't say back, because I don't think even winning the Europa League meant they were back. I felt like they looked decent. They looked like a decent side. And this is me as an Arsenal fan saying this about Spurs. But since maybe September, when they lost James Maddison again, I know they've lost Mohamed Kudus recently, who they signed from West Ham. They've not looked as good as they were in that game. And it's been... Yeah, it's been like madly inconsistent. I mean, let me just check that and make sure, because I know they've won a few games, but I don't think they've been unbelievable. They've definitely been inconsistent. They won 2, lost 2, drawn 1 in their last 5. Yeah. So they drew with Man United, which is a game that some may argue they should have won. They lost to Chelsea, which was a really, really poor performance from what I remember. They beat Everton and Leeds, which you expect them to win, and they lost. And I think I watched the Villa game as well, and they were really poor in that game. So they've definitely not been as consistent as they were at the start of the season. Having said that, they're still in 5th. You know, they're a point off of 4th behind Sunderland. So in a way, they're at this moment in time, they are the fifth most informed team at the moment. The other good thing is that it's at the Emirates, and our record against them at the Emirates is pretty good, or has been pretty good in the Arteta era, or mostly in the Arteta era, I would say. Not maybe at the start, but in the last few years, it's been better. So the last, yeah, I think in general, we've beat them 4 out of the last 5 in all fixtures in the Premier League. So the last time we played them at home was in January last year, or January this year, sorry, and we won 2-1. And then the last time we played them at the Emirates before that, we drew. But yeah, so I'm not. I think that we stand in good stead record wise. It's just because of the fact that we've lost all these players, particularly in the attacking areas. I feel like it's a tall order basically to get that win. But then again, it's a derby, and if the players aren't up for the derby, they shouldn't really turn up. To be honest, they shouldn't really. I mean, physically turn up, as in turn up to the ground. I saw a short just now from Harry Symeou talking about the work that the club had done in the summer to expand the squad and expand the squad depth should be enough to kind of like for us to cope. It's a big blow that we've lost players like Gabriel, but I think one of the objectives, just from reading in between the lines this summer, was to expand that squad and leave us being able to cope with these sort of situations. And the one thing we can't do now is put our heads down as fans and as a club. We can't put our head down and think, oh, we've lost a lot of our key players. We've lost summer signings so early in the season, this, that, and the other. We may as well just give up now because, yeah, again, Harry mentioned the meltdown on social media. Again, I don't know why people are surprised by this, because it happens every single time. And this is why I get frustrated with the Arsenal fan base, is because every single time something negative happens, there has to be a whole sort of like cancel culture level outrage over whatever it is that's going on. So Gabriel's out. It's like, well, right, who can we pile on? So there's people, obviously the people that hate Mikel Arteta and want him out, they're blaming him. Then there's obviously now people going after the Brazilian Federation and Carlo Ancelotti and blaming Brazil. And then there are probably people as well that are piling on Gabriel and saying, why did you play this, that, and the other? It's just one of those things that happens. Unfortunately, this is par for the course in football, that players will get injured. And it's just how you navigate around that. If we manage to get through these 2 games unscathed and we manage to win both, then no one will be worried, to be fair. So in terms of the people below us, so Manchester City are playing Newcastle in the 5:30 kickoff on Saturday, so they would have played by the time we play. Chelsea are playing in the 12:30 kickoff away at Burnley, and Liverpool are amongst the Saturday 3 o'clock kickoffs at Anfield against Nottingham Forest. So let's say Manchester City beat Newcastle, and I think they're at the Etihad. Oh no, they're at St James's Park, so it could go either way. There was I can't remember what it does. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to go for it now. But yeah, they play Newcastle at St James's Park. If City win that game, they'll go within 1 point behind us. I think Chelsea and Liverpool. Oh, Liverpool are probably too far away now, or too far away at the moment, and Chelsea are probably too far away at the moment. So yeah, if City win, they go within 1 point behind us, and if we drop points, that basically means that like we have to beat Chelsea, otherwise City will go above us. Again, it's very, very early in the season. not very early, but it's still a long way to go before we start talking about who's going to win the league and all, or seriously start talking about who's going to win the league and all this stuff. It's why I said when people were saying before the international break, Arsenal are the favourites, before the Sunderland game, when, you know, all the pundits and all the mainstream sports media and all the rival content creators were sitting there saying Arsenal are the favourites now, Arsenal are the favourites now. It's like, yeah, this is why you don't do that. And in a way, you could say they're doing it to tempt fate and make sure that we do fall at the last hurdle or whatever. Again, as I said after the Sunderland game, it's annoying and it's frustrating that we conceded a goal in the last minute. But it was probably just about what it was. As I said, I disagreed with another guy that I work with that's an Arsenal fan. He's a bit of a stat merchant. But yeah, he was going on about like XG that like doesn't, but based on XG, Sunderland didn't deserve anything. And I was like, well, I watched the game and I'm pretty sure if I was a Sunderland fan, I'd be hard done by if I didn't get anything out of that game. The main thing that was frustrating for me was that we were a minute and a half from winning that game. And it's just one stupid mistake from David Raya and Gabriel to some extent that, you know, and a bit of, really, really good acrobatics from Brobby. Is that his name? Let me go and check that. Yeah, Brobby. It's, you know, a bit, all of those factors basically cost us 2 points. But we have to rectify it quickly, and unfortunately, it's the North London derby. We have to turn it around very, very, very quickly. But you know, it is what it is. Nice to be back again, talking to those of you that are tuning in. But yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there. I will be back after the game on Sunday. Hopefully jumping for joy or gidding for joy that we've beaten Spurs again, but we'll see. Yeah, so enjoy the rest of this simulation, watching me play EA Sports FC 26 badly. But yeah, until Sunday, take care and stay safe.
Remember to like and subscribe, and also follow Dan on social media. All the information is in the description below.
Furious after that. They clearly didn't implement the game plan. There's no real effort either. I'm sure there'll be words in the dressing room after that performance.
Well, really no complaints whatsoever about his performance in this game.
Yeah, I'm sure the coaching staff will be happy with him, and his teammates got a positive result, and he certainly took his goal well.